calendar. I am Becky Mitchell from the Becker County Museum, and joining me I have Shauna Bach from Pelican River Watershed and Logan Rydell from M&L. We'll find out what that means in a minute here, Logan. We are here to talk about an event coming up at the Becker County Museum on March 21st at Pollinator Expo. Yay! We're super excited. It starts at 11 at the Holmes Theatre. They're showing Fern Gully, which if you haven't seen that, it's a lovely little show about these little fairies that are trying to save the rainforest from all of the building, I guess, the expansion of humanity, so to speak. And so lovely movie, $5 each. And then from noon to 4 is our Pollinator Expo. Shauna, I'm going to start with you and just let's talk a little bit about this event.
So this all kicked off with me and Becky talking about what we could do around the Butterfly Odyssey exhibit that is at the Becker County Museum right now. Our watershed district sponsored that. We think it's really important. It's a great opportunity for kids to learn about pollinators and the massive journey that they take down south every year. And we thought, well, what else can we do to bring more people in and to get more education around the topic for adults and kids? So this was the idea.
Absolutely. We had so many great sponsors for Butterfly Odyssey. Becker County Children's Initiative, Becker County Soil and Water, M&L's jumped on board for the Pollinator Expo / Butterfly Odyssey. Tamarack, Friends of the Tamarack are on board for Pollinator Expo. So lots of great sponsors. And Logan, tell us about M&L.
Yeah, so M&L, Minnesota Native Landscapes, full service ecological restoration business. So everything from wetland restoration to stream bank stabilization to backyard pollinator plantings. So this expo, this opportunity is right in our wheelhouse. A little personal pride for myself being from Detroit Lakes. I love the museum. I have a ton of experience and a lot of great memories there. So yeah, really excited to be part of the day.
Great. And so what can we expect that day? Like if I'm coming in off the street, what can I expect to see, do you think?
Butterflies, right? All things pollinators, right? It sounds like the expo itself is going to be awesome. I haven't walked through it yet, but you can expect to learn some stuff about all things pollinators from M&L's perspective, also from other sponsors and some local artists, it sounds like, are going to be bringing their stuff to the table too. So I would expect a great day to be talking about the springtime, the summertime, all the things, all the flowers, and all the pollinators that everybody loves to see.
Absolutely. We've invited landscapers that are dealing with natural restoration. We're artists, of course, if they're in that field. I know Lily's Lollipops is coming because they use honey in their lollipops. We've invited beekeepers. So if you fall into any of those categories, feel free to reach out to the Becker County Museum. The Holmes will be there with some activities and crafts. We also have a couple activities and crafts. And what about Pelican River Watershed? What do you think you guys will bring?
Well, I've been working with our partner group, Bowser, the Board of Water and Soil Resources, so they've got some goodies for me, and then I just am looking forward to an opportunity to teach people about all the different resources they have, money-wise, for grants, if they are interested in putting a pollinator garden into their land. There's so much help out there. I know I applied for the Lawns of Legumes grant this year. I got it, and there's $400 here, $1,000 from the Pelican River Watershed District. So in addition to the help with money, we have technical help that we can get for you as well. We can work with M&L. We can work with a local landscape group. I'm looking forward to getting all that in one place so people can have a one-stop shop.
So what happens if I don't live in the Pelican River Watershed District? Are there other watershed districts that have similar programs?
There are. For example, if you're out by the Cormorant Lakes area, there is the Cormorant Lakes Watershed District. They do have a tree program. And the nice thing about all of us in the state agencies is we kind of know what's out there, so you can come and talk to me, and I can hook you up with the right people.
Great. So Logan, you might know, I know Shauna knows because we received some money from Pelican River, but the museum / DLCCC put in some native plant kind of in our parking lot areas and around the museum and a little bit over by the community center. And I think the expectation when you do native plants is that they're going to, just like when you plant, marigolds or daffodils or whatever, they're just going to come up and look beautiful. But that isn't really the case, is it? So tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, so I kind of go by the sleep, creep, leap time frame. Year one, those plants and that seed is really focusing on its root structure, trying to get good hold and keep that soil intact. Year two, you start to see some of the colors by the tail end of the summer, but year three is when it really pops, right? And in an ecological plan, you plan for things to bloom periodically throughout the year. So it's like a all-you-can-eat smorgasbord for the pollinators because they need different stuff at different stages in their life. So, like for a parking lot where it might be, rather than just more pea rock or places to maintain, a Pollinator Expo like that is a perfect spot for it, and you'll start to see it really take off these next couple of years.
A little bit painful in waiting, right? But it's going to get there. So I know that I personally, not all native plants are pollinators, correct? Or are they? Maybe they are.
Should we ask them? No. So if it's not necessarily a pollinator plant, it may be crucial in wintering habitat for these, or it might provide some kind of a nutrient during the early spring times. If you think about it like the classic monarch butterfly, right? Milkweed is the only thing that caterpillar can take in as far as digestion. So it gets everything it needs from there. But you see monarchs on other plants throughout its life cycle, right? So that's kind of the idea, is that we plant grasses, we plant flowering shrubs, we plant flowers, because it kind of needs a little bit of everything throughout its life.
And we talk a lot about bees and saving the bees and flowers and stuff, but honeybees, there's the worker bees and there's honeybees, right? And so, Shauna, tell us a little bit about that, because I know you educated me a little bit on the difference between the two and how the honey, okay, I'll just interject a little bit. The honeybees, they aren't necessarily the ones that we're struggling with right now, correct?
Yeah, bee species are incredibly diverse, and there's a rainbow of them. So we have the honeybees that help us, but they're not the only pollinators out there. And we want to give, homes for all of our pollinator species, not just the honeybees. Of course, we get honey, and then we can make Lily's lollipops, which is great. But we want to make sure we're supporting the butterflies, the moths, sometimes bats. There's all kinds of pollinators out there. And I don't want to discount, too, if it's not a pollinator plant, think about the soil, too. Just keeping that soil where it's supposed to be so everything else can flourish. That's a big part of all these native plantings. It's just all around. Nature had a really good plan, and then sometimes we as people came in and wrecked it. So this is an opportunity to put a little piece back and support the nature around us.
And native plants are also super important to our water. So how does that, I know at the museum we did a lot of work with Pelican River when we were building our new facility. We have underground storage tanks under that parking lot. But how do the native plants help with the water in our area?
Yeah, so native plants are great filters, essentially. With that deep root structure, they can hold onto the soil like Sean was talking, but they also take in those nutrients that sometimes come across on a parking lot. Or if you're putting too much fertilizer in through the yard, those buffers or those kind of landscape plans can help take in those excess nutrients, because I'm sure everybody likes to swim in a clean lake, right? We don't come out of our lakes glowing green, which is really nice, but the pollinator habitat or these native species do a really good job of taking in anything before it gets into our lakes.
And we can all do a little bit, right? We don't necessarily have to convert our whole yard or our whole shoreline. A little bit helps, although I think it's probably a little bit like most things. It probably gets a little addicting, and you just kind of keep doing a little bit more and a little bit more. And Logan, you're speaking that day, right? So what is your topic at 1 o'clock, I believe?
Yeah, so I'm going to be talking about how you can incorporate native vegetation and native kind of pollinator plantings into a home landscape plan. So a lot of times landscaping can look like your typical short yard grass, but there's a lot of ways you can give areas back to nature. If you're like me, you have a pretty shady spot in the yard where you can't get anything to grow, great spot to put in a pollinator planting. If you have a steep hill that you gain a little gray hair every time you mow it, that's a great spot to also give back to nature. So I'm going to be talking about kind of our target areas that make sense for you as a landowner and as a homeowner, that isn't going to take up too much of the yard space because everybody loves the fire pit, or because you have a pickleball court, or because you want the kids to be running around. But if you have this little corner of the yard where it's, can't really get much to grow, or you're sick of mowing all of this, it's great spots to put into that. So that's what I'm going to be talking about.
So Pollinator Expo, March 21st, from noon to 4 at the Becker County Museum. Remember, 11 a.m. at the Holmes Theatre is when Fern Gully is on. You can watch, and what we've been talking about is exactly the purpose of this day, right? Providing information, because there's so many questions, and it's a bit of a process, and sometimes it can feel really overwhelming. There's a lot of native plants. I know that's the one thing that I've learned is there's a lot of native plants, and so how do you that was what brought this day to be, so to speak, and it is one of the last weekends for Butterfly Odyssey. So it's a great little exhibit. It's a lot of fun. Make sure and mark your calendars for March 21st. Shauna, do you have anything to say before we kind of wrap it up here?
Sure. I just hope everyone comes out and gets that one-stop shop to learn everything they need to make their dreams for spring come true. Because I know I can't wait to get in the garden. I think everyone's with me, and if we can do a little bit for pollinator habitat while we get in the garden, great.
And we strategically planned this for the first day of spring. So we're all in the mood. Before I go, though, I do want you to mark your calendars for June 19th and 20th. The Becker County Museum is holding a lumberjack festival at the fairgrounds in the grandstand area. We're super excited. We're bringing in a lumberjack show, and we'll maybe revisit some of these topics at that as well. So mark your calendars for the 19th and 20th. But in the meantime, join us March 21st from noon to 4 at the Becker County Museum for the Pollinator Expo. Stay tuned for more community calendar.